The rain hammered the cafe windows like 1,000 accusations. But inside, two strangers sat frozen, their blind date teetering on disaster. She, wide-eyed and soaked from the storm, clutching her purse like a lifeline. He, impeccably suited, staring at her with confusion that masked something deeper. "You're Elena?" he asked, voice laced with disbelief, as if fate had played a cruel joke. She nodded, heart pounding. This man, with his commanding presence, was the CEO her friends swore was perfect. In that instant, worlds collided. A single mom drowning in debt, and a billionaire CEO starved for real connection. Their story began here, in the chaos of misunderstanding, but it would defy every odd to become a love that healed them both. Flashback to earlier that week. Elena Ramirez, 32, in her tiny apartment, stared at the eviction notice trembling in her hands. Mia, her 5-year-old daughter, played innocently nearby, oblivious to the storm brewing. 5 years ago, Elena's world shattered. The man she loved vanished, leaving her pregnant and broken. Dreams of teaching, buried under endless diner shifts and sleepless nights. "Mommy, why are you sad?" Mia's voice cut through the silence one night, her tiny hand on Elena's cheek. Elena forced a smile, but inside, she was crumbling bills unpaid, pride her only shield. Her friend Carla, a beacon of hope, wouldn't let her fade. "Elena, you're more than this struggle. A blind date, let life surprise you." Elena resisted, but desperation whispered yes. "If he's not worth it, you're buying me coffee for a year," Elena teased, agreeing at last. She couldn't know this choice would rewrite her future. Across the glittering city, Marcus Hale, 38, paced his penthouse like a caged lion. CEO of a logistics empire, he commanded fortunes, but loneliness gnawed at his soul. 2 failed marriages had taught him walls were safer than hearts. Work filled the void mergers, millions but victories rang hollow in empty rooms. Carla, his meddlesome cousin, struck again. "Marcus, you're successful but miserable. This blind date, it's fate calling." He scoffed, but agreed to one meeting. "One coffee, Carla. That's it," he muttered, unaware this setup would unravel his guarded life and ignite a passion he never imagined. They entered seconds apart, fate's timing perfect yet fraught. The spark, not instant, but buried under assumptions and fears, waiting to ignite. The cafe buzzed with the hum of strangers, but for Elena and Marcus, the world shrank to that small wooden table. Rain battered the windows, mirroring the storm of doubt inside them. Elena shifted uncomfortably, her damp dress clinging to her skin. She felt out of place, a waitress among the city's elite. "So, you're Marcus?" she ventured, voice barely steady. Marcus nodded, his polished exterior hiding a flicker of unease. This wasn't his usual scene, no power suits or corporate games. Just a woman who looked like she carried the weight of the world. "Carla didn't mention much," he said, trying to break the ice. His voice was smooth, practiced, but Elena caught the hesitation. Was he judging her? Elena forced a smile. "Yeah, she's sneaky like that." Inside, she was spiraling. Why had she agreed to this? She was a single mom, not a fairy tale character for a date with a billionaire. The silence stretched, heavy with unspoken questions. Marcus sipped his coffee, his eyes scanning her face. She wasn't like the polished women he knew. There was something raw, real about her. "You don't seem like the blind date type," Elena said suddenly, her bluntness surprising them both. A nervous laugh escaped her, breaking the tension. "And you don't seem like someone who gives up easily," Marcus replied, his voice low, a spark of intrigue in his eyes. For the first time that night, he felt curious, not bored. Elena blushed, and used to attention that didn't feel like pity. "You don't know me," she said softly, but her heart raced. Could this man see past her struggles? Across town, Mia sat with a babysitter, coloring a picture of a family, a mom, a dad, a little girl. "Will mommy be okay?" she asked, her small voice full of worry. The babysitter, Mrs. Lopez from next door, patted Mia's head. Your mom's strong, sweetheart. She's just out meeting someone special. Mia smiled, dreaming of a better tomorrow. Back at the cafe, the conversation stumbled forward. Marcus asked about her life, and Elena hesitated, unsure how much to reveal. I work at a diner. It's not glamorous. Marcus tilted his head. Sounds honest. More than I can say for most boardrooms. His candor surprised her. A glimpse of the man beneath the CEO armor. As the rain eased, Elena's guard began to drop. She spoke of Mia, her voice glowing with love. Marcus listened, his heart stirring in a way he hadn't felt in years. The cafe's warmth began to thaw the chill between Elena and Marcus, but doubt still lingered like the fading storm outside. Could two people so different find common ground? Elena sipped her coffee, her nerves settling as Marcus's questions grew gentler. Tell me about your daughter, he said, his voice softer now, less like a CEO and more like a man curious about her world. Mia's my everything, Elena said, her voice thick with pride. She's 5, loves drawing, asks a million questions, keeps me going, even when I want to give up. Marcus leaned forward, captivated. He'd met countless people, but none spoke with such unguarded love. She sounds incredible, he said, a rare sincerity in his tone. Elena hesitated, then asked, what about you? What's your life like? Up there. She gestured vaguely toward the city skyline, a mix of awe and insecurity in her voice. Marcus chuckled, but it was hollow. Up there? Meetings, deals, numbers. It's a machine I built, but sometimes it feels like it's running me. Elena nodded, understanding more than he knew. Sounds lonely, she said softly, her words cutting deeper than she intended. Marcus froze, struck by the truth. It can be, he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. For the first time in years, he felt seen not as a CEO, but as a man searching for meaning. Across town, Mia fell asleep in Mrs. Lopez's arms, her tiny chest rising and falling, clutching a stuffed bunny. The babysitter hummed a lullaby, unaware of the miracle unfolding miles away. Back at the cafe, Elena shared a small story about Mia's latest drawing, a castle where they could live forever happy. Her voice cracked, revealing the weight of her dreams. Marcus felt a pang in his chest. He'd built empires, but never a home. You're giving her hope, he said. That's more than money can buy. The conversation flowed easier now, laughter punctuating their words. Elena teased Marcus about his fancy watch. He countered with a quip about her diner coffee expertise. But as the night deepened, Elena glanced at her phone time to get back to Mia. I should go, she said, reluctance in her voice. Marcus felt a strange urge to stop her. Can I see you again? Marcus asked, surprising himself. Elena's heart skipped, but fear crept in. Could she trust this man, this world so far from hers? The cafe door swung shut behind Elena, the bell's jingle fading into the night's quiet drizzle. She stepped into the rain, heart racing with a mix of hope and fear. Had she just glimpsed a future? Or was this a cruel tease of something she could never have? Marcus lingered at the table, staring at the empty coffee cup across from him. For the first time in years, he felt alive, not from closing a deal, but from her laughter, her honesty. As Elena hurried home through the slick streets, her mind replayed the night. Marcus's eyes, kind but intense, stayed with her. Could a man like him really care about her world? Back at her apartment, Mia stirred as Elena slipped in, kissing her sleeping daughter's forehead. Maybe things can change, sweetie, she whispered, daring to hope. Across town, Marcus sat in his chauffeured car, the city blurring past. He texted Carla, "You were right. She's different." But doubt crept in. Was he chasing a fantasy? The next morning, Elena woke to Mia's chatter about a school art project. "We need supplies, Mommy." Elena's heart sank. Her wallet held barely enough for groceries. At his office, Marcus stared out his window, the skyline no longer enough to fill the void. He thought of Elena's story about Mia, her resilience. He wanted to know more. Against his usual instincts, Marcus called Carla. Set up another date. Somewhere nice, but not flashy. He wanted Elena to feel valued, not overwhelmed. Carla, thrilled, texted Elena. He wants to see you again. Dinner this weekend. Elena stared at the message, her diner shift blurring around her. Could she step into his world? Say yes, Elena, Carla urged over the phone later. You deserve this. Elena bit her lip, torn between fear of heartbreak and a longing she couldn't ignore. Elena agreed, but worry gnawed at her. What would she wear? How could she afford to look the part? She rifled through her closet, finding only faded dresses. Meanwhile, Marcus faced his own doubts. His executive team noticed his distraction during a meeting. Everything okay, boss? One asked. Marcus brushed it off, but Elena was on his mind. Friday night arrived. Elena borrowed a simple but elegant dress from Carla, her hands trembling as she got ready. You're beautiful, Mommy, Mia said, beaming. Marcus waited at a quiet, upscale restaurant, nerves unfamiliar to a man who thrived on control. He adjusted his tie, hoping Elena would feel at ease in his world. The restaurant glowed with soft elegance, its candlelit tables a far cry from Elena's usual world of greasy diner counters. She stepped inside, heart pounding, feeling like an imposter in Carla's borrowed dress. Marcus stood as she approached, his smile genuine but laced with nerves. You look stunning, he said, his voice low, disarming her fears for a moment. They sat, the air thick with possibility. Elena clutched the menu, overwhelmed by choices she couldn't pronounce. I'm more of a burger girl, she joked, breaking the ice. Marcus leaned in, his usual guarded demeanor softening. Then we'll keep it simple. What's Mia's favorite food? His interest in her daughter caught her off guard. Elena's eyes lit up. Pizza. She'd eat it every day if I let her. She laughed, the sound easing the tension. Marcus felt a warmth he hadn't known in years. Back at the apartment, Mia sat with Mrs. Lopez, painting a picture for Elena. This is Mommy's new friend, she said, adding a tall figure to her drawing. In the restaurant, the conversation deepened. Marcus shared a rare story from his childhood growing up in a small house, dreaming of something bigger. I thought success would fix everything, he said quietly. Elena nodded, understanding more than he knew. I used to think love would fix everything, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. It didn't. The vulnerability hung between them, fragile but real. Marcus reached for her hand, then stopped, unsure. You're stronger than you think, he said instead, his words steady. Elena's heart fluttered, but fear crept in. This man lived in a world of penthouses and power. She was a single mom with nothing but dreams for her daughter. Could this work? Marcus sensed her hesitation. I don't know where this is going, he said honestly, but I want to find out. His eyes held hers, steady and unguarded. At home, Mia fell asleep, her painting drying on the table. Mrs. Lopez tucked a blanket over her, whispering, Your mommy's finding her way, little one. Dinner ended, but neither wanted the night to. Marcus offered to drive Elena home. It's no trouble, he insisted, sensing her reluctance to impose. In his car, the silence was comfortable, not strained. Elena glanced at Marcus, his profile strong yet softened by the dashboard's glow. Maybe, just maybe, this was worth risking her heart for. The car glided through the city's neon-lit streets, the quiet hum of the engine wrapping Elena and Marcus in a fragile cocoon of possibility. Neither spoke, but the silence felt alive with unspoken hopes. Elena stared out the window, the city's glow blurring past. Her mind wrestled with the night Marcus's kindness, his world so far from hers. Could she let herself believe in this? Marcus stole a glance at her, his hands steady on the wheel. He'd spent years building walls, but Elena's honesty was cracking them open, one smile at a time. This is me, Elena said softly as they reached her apartment building, its faded brick facade a stark contrast to Marcus's polished world. She hesitated, embarrassed by the peeling paint. Marcus sensed her discomfort. Looks like a home, he said gently, his voice free of judgment. Elena's heart eased, a small smile tugging at her lips. "Thanks for tonight," she said, stepping out, her voice barely audible over the distant city hum. It was unexpected. She meant it, every word carried her fragile hope. Marcus watched her go, a strange ache in his chest. "Good night, Elena," he called, waiting until she was safely inside before driving away. He wasn't ready to let this go. Inside, Elena found Mia asleep, her painting of a new friend still on the table. She traced the stick figure's outline, her heart swelling with dreams she hadn't dared to dream in years. Across town, Marcus returned to his penthouse, the silence deafening. He poured a glass of water, avoiding the whiskey bottle, and replayed Elena's laughter in his mind. The next day, Elena's diner shift dragged on, but her thoughts were elsewhere. Customers snapped, tips were scarce, yet Marcus's words, "You're stronger than you think," kept her going. Marcus, meanwhile, sat through a boardroom meeting, his mind drifting. His team pitched a ruthless cost-cutting plan, but he hesitated, thinking of Elena's struggles. Was he changing? Later, Elena found a text from Marcus. "Lunch tomorrow? Somewhere simple." Her heart leapt, but fear followed. What if Mia needed her? What if this was too good to last? She replied, "Yes," her fingers trembling. Then she called Carla, voice shaking. "He's different, Carla, but I'm scared. What if I'm not enough?" Carla's voice was firm. "You're more than enough, Elena. Let him see you." As Elena hung up, she felt a spark of courage, ready to face whatever came next. The sun hung low over the city, casting golden rays through the diner's smudged windows as Elena prepared for her lunch date with Marcus. Her heart fluttered with hope, but doubt clung like a shadow. She'd left Mia with Mrs. Lopez, promising to be back soon. "Have fun, Mommy," Mia chirped, her innocence fueling Elena's resolve to take this chance. Marcus had chosen a small, unpretentious deli for lunch, far from his usual upscale haunts. He wanted Elena to feel at ease, to see the man, not the CEO. Elena arrived, her simple blouse and jeans a quiet rebellion against her fears. Marcus's smile greeted her, disarming and genuine, making her heart skip. Inside, they sat by a window, the city humming beyond. "I thought you'd pick somewhere fancier," Elena teased, her voice lighter than she felt. "Fancy's overrated," Marcus replied, his eyes crinkling. "Besides, I wanted to hear more about Mia." His interest in her daughter felt like a bridge between their worlds. Elena shared stories of Mia's antics, her love for painting, her endless questions. "She asked if we could live in a castle someday," she said, laughing but wistful. Marcus listened, captivated. "She's lucky to have you," he said softly. Elena blushed, and used to praise that felt so sincere, so unguarded. But as they spoke, Elena's phone buzzed, a text from Mrs. Lopez. "Mia's running a fever. Come home soon." Her heart sank, reality crashing in. "I have to go," Elena said, her voice tight with panic. Marcus stood, concern etching his features. "Let me drive you," he offered, already grabbing his coat. In the car, Elena's hands twisted in her lap, guilt gnawing at her. "I shouldn't have left her," she murmured, fear for Mia drowning out her earlier joy. Marcus glanced at her, his voice calm but firm. "You're a great mom, Elena. Kids get sick. You're doing your best." His words were a lifeline, steadying her. They reached the apartment, and Elena rushed inside, Marcus following without hesitation. Mrs. Lopez met them, holding a flushed but sleeping Mia. Marcus stood back, taking in the small, love-filled space so different from his sterile penthouse. He felt out of place but drawn to help, to be part of this. Elena knelt beside Mia, her hand gently brushing her daughter's fevered forehead. The small apartment felt suffocating, the weight of worry pressing down. Marcus stood in the doorway, an outsider in her world, yet unwilling to leave. "She'll be okay," Mrs. Lopez whispered, handing Elena a glass of water. But Elena's eyes were distant, guilt gnawing at her for daring to chase a moment of happiness. Marcus stepped forward, his voice low. "Can I do anything?" His offer was genuine, but Elena hesitated, and used to help from anyone, let alone a man like him. "You don't have to stay," Elena said, her voice tight but polite. She was torn, grateful for his concern, yet afraid to let him see her at her most vulnerable. "I want to," Marcus replied simply, pulling a chair closer. He didn't know how to navigate this world of fevers and single moms, but he wanted to try for her. Elena softened, his presence a quiet anchor. She gave Mia medicine, her hands steady despite her fear. Marcus watched, struck by her strength in the face of chaos. Across town, Marcus's phone buzzed, missed calls from his executive team. A critical deal was faltering, but for once, he didn't care. This moment felt more real than any boardroom. Mia's fever broke an hour later, her small body relaxing into sleep. Elena exhaled, relief washing over her. She glanced at Marcus, gratitude mingling with confusion. "Thank you for staying," Elena said, her voice barely above a whisper. It was the first time in years she hadn't faced a crisis alone. Her heart ached with possibility. Marcus smiled faintly. "I didn't do much," but he felt the weight of the moment. This wasn't just a date anymore. It was something deeper, something he couldn't walk away from. As midnight approached, Marcus stood to leave. "Call me if you need anything," he said, scribbling his number on a piece of Mia's drawing paper. Elena nodded, clutching it tightly. Outside, the city was quiet, the storm long gone. Marcus walked to his car, his mind racing. He'd built empires, but this helping Elena, caring for her felt like his greatest risk. Elena sat by Mia, the number in her hand a fragile lifeline. She wanted to believe in Marcus, but years of betrayal whispered caution. Could she trust this feeling? As Marcus drove away, he felt a shift inside. Elena's world, so raw and real, was pulling him in. He wasn't just a CEO here, he was a man falling for a woman who needed him. The morning sun crept through Elena's apartment window, casting soft rays on Mia's sleeping face. Elena sat beside her, Marcus's number still clutched in her hand, a symbol of hope she wasn't sure she could trust. Mia stirred, her voice groggy but bright. "Is your friend coming back, Mommy?" Elena's heart tugged. Her daughter's innocence made the stakes feel impossibly high. Across town, Marcus woke in his sterile penthouse, the city's skyline gleaming coldly outside. Last night's warmth in Elena's apartment lingered in his mind, a stark contrast to his empty life. At the diner, Elena's shift began with the usual chaos: spilled coffee, demanding customers. But her thoughts drifted to Marcus, his quiet strength when Mia was sick. Could he really fit into her world? Marcus, meanwhile, faced a storm of his own. His boardroom buzzed with tension. A rival company's sabotage threatened a major deal. Yet, his mind kept returning to Elena's smile. During a break, he texted Elena, "How's Mia feeling?" The simple act felt foreign. He wasn't used to caring this deeply, this fast. But it felt right. Elena's phone buzzed mid-shift, his message a jolt of warmth. She typed back, "Better, thanks to you." Her heart raced. Maybe he wasn't too good to be true. That evening, Elena sat with Mia, helping her color a new drawing. "This is for your friend," Mia said, adding a heart. Elena's chest tightened. Her daughter was already invested. Marcus, back in his office, stared at a photo Carla had sent, a candid of him and Elena laughing at the cafe. He hadn't smiled like that in years. He wanted more of it. He called Elena, his voice steady but nervous. "I'd like to see you again. Both of you. Maybe a park day with Mia." The invitation was a leap, but he was ready. Elena hesitated, her heart caught between fear and longing. "Mia would love that," she said finally, her voice soft but hopeful. Park day felt safe, real. The weekend arrived, and Marcus met them at a city park, his usual suit swapped for jeans and a sweater. Mia ran to him, waving her drawing, and his heart melted. "This is for you," Mia beamed, handing him the heart-filled picture. Marcus took it, his smile wide and unguarded, a stark contrast to the CEO he usually was. As they walked through the park, Elena felt a flicker of something new, hope that maybe, just maybe, This man could be part of their little family's story. The park buzzed with life, children laughing, leaves rustling in the autumn breeze, but for Elena, Marcus, and Mia, it felt like their own world. The afternoon sun painted everything gold, as if blessing their fragile new bond. Mia tugged Marcus's hand, pulling him toward a swing set. "Push me," she giggled, her trust in him disarming. Elena watched, her heart swelling but guarded, unsure how far to let this go. Marcus laughed, a sound Elena hadn't heard before, free, unguarded, like a man unburdened by his corporate armor. "Higher?" he asked Mia, who squealed with delight. Elena joined them, pushing Mia's other swing, her worries easing with each of her daughter's giggles. For a moment, they felt like a family, a dream she hadn't dared imagine. But reality lingered. As they sat on a park bench, Mia ran off to chase a butterfly. Elena's voice turned quiet. "This is nice, Marcus, but my life's complicated. Mia comes first." Marcus nodded, his eyes steady. "I know, and I respect that. I'm not here to complicate things. I want to be part of them, if you'll let me." His honesty shook her. Back at his office the next day, Marcus faced mounting pressure. His team demanded he sign off on layoffs to save the faltering deal. But Elena's struggles made the decision feel heavier than ever. He thought of Mia's drawing, now pinned to his office wall, a heart-filled reminder of what mattered. "Find another way," he told his team, surprising them with his resolve. Meanwhile, Elena faced her own battle. The diner's owner cut her shifts, citing slow business. Panic gripped her, rent was due, and Mia needed new shoes. She called Carla, voice trembling. "I can't keep up, Carla. And now Marcus. What if I'm dragging him into my mess?" Carla's reply was fierce. "Let him in, Elena. He's not running." That evening, Marcus surprised Elena with a text. "Dinner at my place? I'll cook. Bring Mia." The invitation was bold, a step into his world, and Elena's heart raced with both fear and excitement. She agreed, borrowing another dress from Carla. As she dressed, Mia twirled in her best outfit. "Is Marcus our friend now, Mommy?" she asked, her hope piercing Elena's fears. Marcus's penthouse was a world apart, sleek, modern, but he'd softened it with candles and a kid-friendly setup for Mia. He greeted them at the door, apron on, a nervous smile breaking his usual poise. As they stepped inside, Elena felt the gap between their lives' marble floors, towering views, but Marcus's warmth made it feel like a home, not a showcase. The scent of homemade pasta filled Marcus's penthouse, a surprising contrast to its sleek, modern design. Elena stood in the doorway, clutching Mia's hand, feeling like she'd stepped into a dream she didn't belong in. Marcus emerged from the kitchen, wiping his hands on an apron, his smile boyish and disarming. "Welcome to my attempt at cooking," he said, winking at Mia, who giggled. Mia tugged Elena forward, her excitement easing her mother's nerves. "It smells yummy," she declared, climbing onto a chair Marcus had set with a booster seat just for her. Elena sat, her eyes scanning the space marble counters, art on the walls. Yet Marcus's effort to make it kid-friendly warmed her heart. "You didn't have to do all this," she said softly. "I wanted to," Marcus replied, serving pasta with a clumsy but earnest flourish. His usual CEO confidence was replaced by a vulnerability that made Elena's chest tighten. Dinner unfolded with laughter, Mia telling stories about her school, Marcus asking questions with genuine interest. Elena felt a flicker of belonging, fragile but real. But as Mia played with the toys Marcus had bought, Elena's doubts resurfaced. "This is amazing, Marcus, but my life's not like this. It's messy, unpredictable." Her voice wavered. Marcus leaned forward, his gaze steady. "I don't want perfect, Elena. I want real. You and me are the most real thing I've ever known." His words hit like a lifeline. Back at the diner the next day, Elena's reduced shift stung harder. A coworker whispered about layoffs looming, and panic clawed at her. How could she dream of love when survival was uncertain? Marcus, too, faced pressure. His board pushed harder for layoffs, accusing him of losing focus. "You're distracted, Marcus," one said. He didn't deny it. Elena was changing him. That evening, Marcus called Elena, sensing her distance. "Everything okay?" he asked. She hesitated, then admitted, "I'm scared, Marcus. This feels too good to last." Marcus's voice was firm but gentle. "I'm not going anywhere, Elena. Let me prove it." His words carried a promise, but doubt lingered in her heart. Could he handle her reality? The next day, Elena found a small gift at her Dore sketchbook and crayons for Mia, with a note. "For her castle dreams. M." Her heart ached with hope and fear. As Mia squealed over the gift, Elena made a decision. She'd invite Marcus to her world, a simple dinner at their apartment. It was time to see if he could truly belong. Elena's apartment buzzed with nervous energy as she prepared for Marcus's visit. The smell of her homemade arroz con pollo filled the small space, a recipe from her mother, a piece of her heart offered on a plate. Mia bounced around, setting the table with mismatched plates. "Is Marcus gonna like my drawing?" she asked, clutching her new sketchbook, her eyes bright with hope. Elena smoothed her apron, her heart a tangle of anticipation and fear. Inviting Marcus here into her world of worn furniture and unpaid bills was a risk she wasn't sure she was ready for. Marcus arrived, his knock soft but steady. He stood in the doorway, a bottle of juice for Mia in hand, his usual polish replaced by a nervous smile that mirrored Elena's. "Smells amazing," Marcus said, stepping inside, his eyes scanning the small space, not with judgment, but curiosity. Mia ran to him, waving her drawing proudly. Dinner began, the table cramped but warm. Mia chattered about school, Marcus listening with a grin, asking questions that made her giggle. Elena felt a flicker of belonging. "This is incredible," Marcus said, savoring a bite. "My mom used to cook like this." His voice carried a rare softness, a glimpse into a past he rarely shared. But as the evening deepened, Elena's fears resurfaced. "Marcus, this is us broken furniture, late bills. It's not your world." Her voice trembled, raw with honesty. Marcus set down his fork, his gaze unwavering. "I don't care about the furniture, Elena. Care about you. About Mia." His words were a vow, steady and real. Mia interrupted, climbing onto Marcus's lap. "Will you come back?" she asked, her innocence piercing the tension. Marcus hugged her, his heart cracking open. Later, as Mia slept, Elena and Marcus sat on the couch, the silence heavy. "I'm scared to need you," Elena admitted, her voice barely audible, her heart laid bare. "I'm scared too," Marcus confessed, his voice raw. "But I've never wanted anything more than this us." His hand found hers, a quiet promise in the touch. The next day, Elena faced the diner's grim reality, another shift cut. Desperation clawed at her, but Marcus's words echoed, giving her strength to keep going. Marcus, meanwhile, made a bold move at work. He rejected the layoffs, pushing his team to find a creative solution. Elena's courage was inspiring him to be a better man. The city pulsed with life as autumn deepened, but for Elena and Marcus, the world felt smaller, centered on the fragile bond they were building. Each moment together was a step toward something neither had dared to dream. Elena woke to Mia's laughter, the sound a reminder of why she kept fighting. But the eviction notice on her fridge loomed, a cold threat to their fragile stability. At his office, Marcus faced his own battle. His team had found a way to save the deal without layoffs, but it required his full attention. Yet, Elena and Mia were never far from his thoughts. He texted Elena, "Can I see you tonight? Just us." The message was simple, but it carried the weight of his growing feelings, a risk he was ready to take. Elena read the text during her diner break, her heart racing. She wanted to say yes, but the fear of losing everything, her home, her daughter's future, held her back. She called Carla for advice. "He's serious, Carla, but what if I'm not enough for his world?" Carla's voice was firm. "You're more than enough. Let him love you." Elena agreed to meet Marcus at a quiet riverside cafe, a neutral space where their worlds could meet. She wore her best dress, borrowed again, her nerves tingling with possibility. Marcus was already there, his casual sweater a far cry from his CEO suits. His eyes lit up when he saw her, a smile breaking through that made her heart skip. They sat, the river's gentle ripples calming their nerves. "I've been thinking about you," Marcus said, his voice low, honest. "About us." Elena's breath caught. "I'm scared, Marcus," Elena admitted, her voice trembling. "My life's falling apart. Eviction. No shifts. I can't drag you into this." Her honesty laid her bare, raw and real. Marcus reached for her hand, his touch steady. "You're not alone anymore, Elena. Let me help, please." His words were a plea, not a command. Back at the apartment, Mia drew a new picture, a house with 3 figures, labeled Mommy, Me, Marcus. Mrs. Lopez smiled, sensing the change in Elena's life. Elena hesitated, then nodded. "Okay, Marcus, but it's not just me, it's Mia too." Her voice was firm, a mother's love anchoring her courage to trust him. Marcus smiled, relief washing over him. "I wouldn't have it any other way," he said, his heart opening to a future he hadn't imagined, a family, a home. The Riverside Cafe faded into the background as Elena and Marcus lingered, their hands still touching, the weight of their decisions settling in. The city's lights twinkled, mirroring the spark growing between them. Elena's heart felt lighter, but the eviction notice haunted her thoughts. She hadn't told Marcus the full truth. Losing their home was days away. Could she lean on him without losing herself? Marcus sensed her unease. "What's wrong?" he asked gently, his thumb brushing her hand. His voice was a steady anchor, pulling her from the storm of her thoughts. Elena took a deep breath. "We're being evicted," she whispered, shame burning her cheeks. "I didn't want to tell you, but it's bad." Her vulnerability hung heavy in the air. Marcus's jaw tightened, not with pity but resolve. "You're not alone anymore, Elena. Let me help, please." His voice was firm, a promise wrapped in quiet strength. Back at the apartment, Mia slept soundly, her latest drawing of a house with 3 figures tucked beside her. Mrs. Lopez tidied quietly, sensing a shift in Elena's world. The next morning, Marcus took action. He called a trusted friend, a real estate agent, to find a safe apartment for Elena and Mia. "Something affordable, close to her diner," he instructed. At the diner, Elena's shift dragged, her mind racing. Marcus's offer to help felt like a lifeline, but years of standing alone made trust feel like a leap off a cliff. Marcus texted her, "Found a place. Can I show you after work?" Her heart leapt, but fear whispered, what if this was charity, not love? She pushed the thought aside. That evening, Marcus drove Elena to a modest but charming apartment building. "It's not a penthouse," he said, smiling, "but it's safe, and it's yours if you want it." Inside, the apartment was small but clean, with space for Mia's drawings and Elena's dreams. Tears welled in her eyes, not from shame, but gratitude. "Why are you doing this?" she asked. "Because I care about you," Marcus said, his voice steady. "You and Mia deserve a home, and I want to be part of that." His words broke through her last defenses. Elena nodded, overwhelmed. "Thank you," she whispered, stepping closer. For the first time, she let herself believe this could be real, a future with him. As they left the apartment, Marcus took her hand, and she didn't pull away. The city stretched before them, no longer a divide, but a canvas for their shared story. The city's autumn breeze carried a promise of change as Elena and Marcus stepped into their new reality. The apartment papers were signed, a fresh start for Elena and Mia, but the weight of their growing bond felt both exhilarating and fragile. Elena moved in with Mia the next day, the small space already feeling like home. Mia ran through the rooms, her laughter echoing, while Elena unpacked, her heart lighter than it had been in years. Marcus stopped by with a housewarming gift, a small potted plant for Mia. "To grow with your new home," he said, kneeling to her level, his smile as bright as hers. "You didn't have to," Elena said, her voice thick with emotion. Marcus's presence in their lives was no longer a question, it was a foundation, steady and real. At his office, Marcus's transformation deepened. He launched a company initiative to support single parents, inspired by Elena's strength. His team was stunned, but he felt alive, purposeful. Elena, too, found new courage. She enrolled in night classes to finish her teaching degree, a dream rekindled by Marcus's belief in her. "You're unstoppable," he told her, and she believed it. One evening, Marcus invited Elena and Mia to a quiet dinner at his penthouse. But this time, it felt different, not a showcase, but a home. Mia ran to her toys, already at ease. As Mia slept on the couch, Elena and Marcus sat on the balcony, the city's lights sprawling below. "I never thought I'd feel this way again," Marcus admitted, his voice soft. "Neither did I," Elena whispered, leaning into his shoulder. The warmth of his arm around her felt like coming home, a feeling she'd thought was lost forever. The next day, Marcus faced his past. He met with his ex-wife, who'd heard rumors of his distraction. "You're different," she said, surprised. "Happier." He nodded, thinking of Elena. Elena, meanwhile, faced her own fears. She told Carla about the apartment, the classes, Marcus. "I'm letting him in," she said, her voice steady. "I'm ready." Carla hugged her. "You deserve this, Elena. Both of you." As Elena held her friend, she felt the last of her doubts fade, replaced by a quiet, steady hope. The story that began in a rainy cafe, two strangers from different worlds, had defied every odd. It wasn't a fairy tale, it was real, messy, and beautiful. A love that healed them both. The city's first snow dusted the streets in white, a quiet blanket over the year's struggles and triumphs. In Elena's new apartment, warmth radiated not from the heater, but from the love filling its small space. Mia, now 6, sat at the kitchen table, carefully writing her name on a drawing. "For Marcus," she declared, her voice full of pride. Elena watched, her heart swelling. Marcus arrived, shaking snow from his coat, his smile immediate as Mia ran to him. "Look what I made," she chirped, handing him the picture, a family of 3 holding hands. Elena met his gaze, her eyes soft with gratitude. "We're decorating the tree tonight," she said, gesturing to the small evergreen in the corner. "We wanted to wait for you." They spent the evening hanging ornaments, some from Elena's past, others new additions from Marcus. Laughter filled the room, a sound that had become their new normal. Later, as Mia slept, Elena and Marcus sat by the tree's twinkling lights. "I never knew I could be this happy," Elena whispered, her head on his shoulder. Marcus kissed her forehead. "Neither did I," he said, his voice steady. "You and Mia, you're my home." The words were simple, but they carried the weight of a promise. The next morning, Marcus surprised them with tickets to a winter festival. Mia bundled up, her excitement infectious. As they walked through the snowy park, hand in hand, Elena felt a peace she'd never known. At the festival, Mia dragged them to a carousel, her laughter ringing in the crisp air. Marcus lifted her onto a horse, his eyes meeting Elena's over their daughter's head. Later, they sipped hot chocolate, watching the snow fall. "I love you," Marcus said, the words quiet but sure. Elena's heart soared. "I love you too," she replied, her voice steady. Their love story wasn't perfect, it was built on broken pieces, but it was stronger for it. 2 worlds, once apart, had merged into one, a family forged in hope and resilience. As the year drew to a close, Elena knew their journey was just beginning. But for the first time, she faced the future not with fear, but with joy, hand in hand with the man who defied all odds to love her.